Hi, Mom. Yeah, no, can you pick up Chris after school? Yeah, I'm at the doctor's.
Mrs. Harris?
Describe your symptoms.
Hang on. Stress, headaches, nausea. Yeah, well, I work on Saturdays.
And how long has this been?
Equanimity. Balance your lifestyle.
Well, Brad Evans, thank you for coming back to the Belder BB Show. I'm glad I didn't scare you away last time.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Well, my producer told me you just asked too many football questions. Hey, I don't know football. I want my audience to know, I'm excited because I told you Brad Evans was coming back today, and I get to talk football with him, fantasy football. Okay, Brad, football season is kicking off. I can't understand, why do I want to have a fantasy team when real teams are playing?
Well, you want to have a fantasy team because you get to act as a manager of real-life players. You're at the controls. You call the shots. The only person you have to answer to is the other person looking at you in the mirror. So I think, honestly, it's a wonderful experience. If you've never done fantasy football, it will enhance your enjoyment of the NFL, and it's really simple to do. You just draft players. Quarterback usually, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, a kicker, a defense. There are points attached to them based on actual results on the field. You accumulate those points, and you go head-to-head against somebody else. Whoever has the most points wins. There's a lot of trash talk. There's a lot of camaraderie involved, and nobody does it better than Yahoo Sports, and you can sign up today at sports.yahoo.com/fantasy.
Well, I can tell you love this. Okay, let me ask you, do you foresee, and maybe they already have this, like we have the real playoffs, we have the real Super Bowl. Is that a part of it, or do you foresee that to be a part of it?
Oh, it is a part of it. You look at most leagues on average are either 10 or 12 teams, and let's take 12-team model, for example. Traditionally, 6 teams make the playoffs based on your overall record. There's some tiebreakers and stuff involved in there, and it plays out like a bracket style, just like the NFL does it, and you have a fantasy Super Bowl. I was actually at a draft event recently at Levi's Stadium in San Francisco, actually technically in Santa Clara, just a week ago, and people were drafting there, and they're bringing their trophies, and they're like the Lombardi Trophy. They're fancy, they're shiny, and people love them. They got plaques on them with their name. And I mean, people take this very seriously. So it's similar, almost identical to what the NFL does, except people aren't making millions of dollars necessarily.
Well, it's obviously fabulous because Yahoo Sports has a newly launched daily fantasy football.
Yes, and well, if you want to maybe become a millionaire, this is a way to do it through fantasy. If you sign up right now, go to sports.yahoo.com/dailyfantasy. We're giving away $1 million in total week 1, $10 entry, $100,000 to first place. So if you think you got the skills to pay the fantasy bills, Daily Fantasy is certainly for you. So it's a completely new experience for our user base, and we're excited to offer it.
Tell me how come you know so much about football?
It's a lot of study, a lot of time, a lot of commitment. I've been in this game for 12 years, my 10th year at Yahoo. I study film, I watch games, I study the stats, and then I formulate an opinion. And for some reason, they pay me. So it's great. It's a tremendous job. I got the best job in the world.
Well, the reason I asked, this is almost a whole new field for you because this is very ethereal. It's not a physically based sport. It's an ethereal sport. So this is a whole new career path for you, true?
Yeah, well, for a lot of people. Yeah, I mean, there are over 50 million fantasy football players in Canada and the United States in a given year, and the industry has grown at an almost exponential rate over the past decade. That number, that 50 million number I just threw out there, that's up from about 27 million just a handful of seasons ago. So there are more and more people getting involved, and women as well. A third of the fantasy players that are out there are female, and that's up from just under 20% only a year ago. So the industry continues to grow. It's burgeoning, and there's a lot of opportunities, whether you're a developer, building these fantasy games, or somebody like me who's a mouthpiece who's writing about them.
Okay, one more question I want to ask you. Okay, the new season is starting. What do we need to look out in, real football or fantasy football? What do I need to be looking for?
Well, let's talk about a couple of deeper names because people are all about sleepers, and I'll give you a couple. We'll start with Teddy Bridgewater up in Minnesota. I think the young quarterback is going to have a major leap forward in his second year in the league, completed over 70% of his passes last 5 regular season games of last year. I think he tosses 25 touchdowns with 4,000-plus yards, and you're stealing him at the 16th highest quarterback off the board. And another guy like is Eddie Royal in Chicago. Kevin White, the outstanding rookie, at least that was the expectation in Chi-Town. Looks like he's done for the year with a shin fracture. Eddie Royal's going to see a ton of targets with defenses rotating the side of Alshon Jeffrey. You might get 75 catches, 1,000 yards, and 7 touchdowns, and he's going after pick 100 right now in average Yahoo drafts. So those are 2 deeper names to tuck under your cap later on in your draft.
Brad, you have become my favorite football guy. I'm going to sit down with my team today when I do my team meeting, and I'm excited to talk football because of you.
Hey, I appreciate it. Again, go sign up, Valder. Sports.yahoo.com/fantasy. Whether it's daily or season long, we got them both.
My audience telling me they're signing up, Brad. I think I'm going to have to. Thank you so much for inspiring us. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it, too. Good luck this season.